This is Orissa, a land of glorious past, heroic dynasties, enthralling dance, beautiful temples, and fascinating sculptures. Kalinga, as Orissa was called in ancient times, was a flourishing center of art, culture, education. It was this very fine awareness, a keen appreciation of beauty of the Kalingan people that stemmed the creation of thousands of fascinating temples all over Orissa. This is the Parshurameshwar temple. Situated in Bhubaneswar, this is one of the oldest temples in Orissa. The Parshurameshwar temple, dedicated to Lord Shiva, was built in the 7th century and is still very well preserved. Here you can see the gentle flowing lines of the temple, more like soft curves really, the hallmark of Kalingan architecture. The walls decorated with friezes of elephants and birds, gods and deities. This is the most interesting panel here at Parshurameshwar temple. It depicts the wedding procession of Shiva and Parvati. The Ganesha here is very charming. It has a lyrical quality about it. This Ganesha is delicately carved, sculpted with an ornate touch, keeping in tune with the soft lines and rich detailing of the overall architecture of the temple. Another masterpiece of Kalingan architecture is this Lingaraj temple. This temple was built in the 10th century to the glory of Lord Shiva. This temple is one of the most stylized, evolved temples, the culmination of the architectural and sculptural splendors of the Kalingan style. A Lingaraja temple is truly large, almost like a skyscraper, yet this temple has a subtle, delicate quality about it. In spite of its soaring peak, the Lingaraj temple somehow remains humble. The Lingaraj temple strikes a most beautiful balance of strength and grace. The shikhar here has delicate miniature niches, a most unique feature of Kalingan architecture. In sharp contrast to the gentle curves of the Lingaraja temple, the Ganesha in this temple is very striking. Sculpted in deep blue stone, this Ganesha has a rare appeal. What makes this Ganesha one of the most unique of its kind is its bold color scheme. A striking color scheme lends a forceful intensity to this vibrant Ganesha. Above all, it's a refreshing, live Ganesha. Another great example of Kalinga architecture is the Rajarani Temple. This temple has some of the most beautiful sculptures of Kalinga period. The most unique among these sculptures are the guardians of the 8 dishas. What is most charming about the Rajarani temple is its delicate simplicity. This is the Kichingeshwari temple dedicated to the goddess Durga. Built around the 11th century, this temple is a classic example of the typical Orissan architecture. The Kichingeshwari temple was a complex of 7 temples originally. Sadly, only one temple remains now. The Kichingeshwari temple is no surprise. Very traditional in its architecture, the temple has a predictable form. Panels of Naga deities, Ganga and Yamuna figures adorn the outer walls of this temple. One of the most interesting sights here at this temple is the idol of Ganesha. Unfortunately, it stands in dilapidation. Still, one cannot mistake its beauty and charm. The entire sculpture is balanced on one foot that touches the ground. This gives it a gentle, subtle sway. It is this gradual sweep of the lines that gives this Ganesha a rhythm. This Ganesha resembles a Yaksha, the carefree, happy-go-lucky demigod. In the premises of the temple itself is a museum, housing the relics of the remaining 6 temples in the complex. Kiching was a prosperous Buddhist settlement in the 11th century, so one can see many Buddhist relics here. Hindu sculpture excavated from the sites of the dilapidated temples are also displayed here, like this beautiful image of a Ganesha that resembles a Yaksha. This is Dhavalgiri, another interesting temple complex in Orissa. The most curious feature about Dhavalgiri is that there is a temple dedicated to Shiva and a Buddhist shrine in the same complex. The stoop in the shrine has borrowed much of its style from the stoop at Sanchi. Enshrined in this temple is a huge sculpture of Buddha. One cannot but get enchanted by the serene bliss on Buddha's face. The feeling of harmony and tranquility that this Buddha exudes will put any troubled soul at peace. This is the most magnificent structure of the Kalinga period. This is the Sun Temple at Konark, built by the King Narasimha Deva. This is truly a splendid symbol of the artistic realization of the Kalingan people. The Sun Temple is the pinnacle of glory of Kalingan art and architecture. This temple is an allegory conceived as a grand chariot of the sun, pulled by 7 prancing steeds. The chariot has 12 pairs of wheels, one for each month. This temple was erected in the 13th century and took 12,000 artisans toiling for 16 years to create this ageless wonder. Here, on the walls of the temple, one will find exquisite sculptural art. Here, one will find the rapturous expression of the joy of life, a candid declaration of an unrestrained celebration of love, a humble submission for respect for devotee. Here, we have musicians and dancers, birds and animals, apsaras and gods. The art and architecture mingle so well here that it is impossible to tell them apart. It is hopeless to escape the charms of the temples of Orissa. It is impossible to go away from them. These temples permeate your minds, your souls. You are a part of these temples. These temples are part of you, carrying you to depths of love and devotion you had never known.